Management's Summer 2020 orientation session at the graduate level. My name is Dr. Monica Powell. I'm the Senior Associate Dean and Graduate Dean here in the Jindal School. And I have to tell you, this is the first time that at the graduate level, we have held a virtual orientation. And I am thrilled that we have so many brand new students who are joining us this evening. You know, you've all been through undergraduate school. You all have a sense of what to expect in a graduate program. The graduate school is very different than the undergraduate school that all of you remember. I like the graphic that was on the screen in front of you because I think that it really kind of conveys the experience that many of our graduate students come in to graduate school having. There's a lot of turns that you can make. You have a lot of choice, and you also have a lot of the onus of understanding how the system works when you're a graduate student as well. So I have a whole entourage of people that are joining us this evening for this orientation, and I want to take a chance to introduce you to them. I do hope that they'll turn their video cameras on and give a little bit of a wave. When this session is over, this opening session is over, you're going to have a chance to go into an individual session with each of them by your program and be able to get to know them on a more personal level. We have Mary Guan present, who's our MS in accounting. We also have Lori Skillestead, who works with her, that is also here and will probably be joining our accounting students in the session afterwards. They're waving. I see Lori out there. Can you go back to that previous slide, Norma? So we also have Bill Heffley. Bill is leading our business analytics program, and he'll be with us this evening. Steve Molina for our energy. Carolyn Reichert, I think I saw you out there somewhere joining us. I think Keith Thurgood is here. I know Quincy Sinelli is, both from the Healthcare and Leadership and Management program. Mark Thuin and Gaurav Shekhar, I believe, are present and are going to help our ITM students. Paul Nichols, I think you're out there somewhere in virtual land to answer innovation and entrepreneurship. Hubert Zvordak for our International Management Studies program. Lisa Schatz is here with us this evening. She leads our MBA programs and will be conducting the session after this. Scott Janke, Scott's with us for management science. Alex Edsel, who leads all of our efforts in the area of marketing. David Whitfield, who leads our supply chain management program. And I don't believe we have Rajiv Shah with us here this evening. He leads our systems engineering management program, but we don't happen to have a student coming in this summer. So let's get started with this orientation. So Norma, you can move forward. You know, a lot of graduate students who think about coming to graduate school, if I were to ask you in our auditorium to all think about the primary reason that you're coming to get a graduate degree, you're mostly thinking about the credential impact of having a master's deep dive degree in marketing or ITM, or having the credential of an MBA. You typically have some work experience, you've been out in the world, you're smart, you know that, that you need to get an advanced degree to advance your career. And so you're thinking about coming to graduate school, getting great grades and just sort of jumping in and diving headfirst into getting all of those skills that you can add to your tool belt so that you can be more effective in your job and also be more promotable into the next position after the one you currently have. What graduate students don't think about, and when you're looking at this graphic, they don't think about the bottom line. They think about the top line, but they don't think about coming to graduate school and being a highly engaged individual. There are very few times in your adult life where you get an opportunity to create a network of people that are outside your work or outside your neighborhood or outside the parents of all the kids on your kids' soccer team or outside the network of people that might go to your church. But graduate school is that great, almost last chance to build a network of professional people that will oftentimes work in the kind of organizations that you might find of interest. So when you think about the story that you want to write as a graduate student, we want our graduate students to think not so much about the perfect grades and only the knowledge and kind of be a taker in the graduate education process. We want them to come in and be a giver and a taker, an individual who leaves the place better than they found them, who gets engaged with their classmates. You will have students who will at some point be sitting right beside you in class, not this summer, but once we get past this COVID-19 situation and we return to a more normal classroom experience on a regular basis, you're going to have students sitting virtually in class next to you and physically in class next to you in the future, who someday you may want to reach out to them and talk to them about an opportunity you saw for a job in their organization. So getting involved as a graduate student seems like the last thing that you have time for, but oftentimes those students that get involved are the ones that propel their career and take advantage of the degree in a much bigger way and much quicker. So I will encourage all of you, once we get past this crazy COVID-19 situation and the university returns to more normal operations, I hope that you'll look toward leadership opportunities, case competitions, student organizations. We have 70 student organizations in our school, and all of those organizations engage with the kinds of employers that I'm sure you'll want to consider with regard to advancing your degree. This is also the last chance in your life, I think, to make a wide, diverse set of friends. Friends that, you know, down the road, you need some good advice on what's going on in your organization, you can call them up. Just friends to add to your belt. Life gets really busy, and that's something you want to take advantage of. So now we're going to move to the next slide. And I tell this to graduate students all the time. You want to go the easy way or you want to go the bumpy pathway? Students that come into the master's program, and for this group of students, you are likely all fully employed. You're juggling maybe a young marriage, you're juggling a boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, you might have kids, you're juggling a busy job. And so sometimes you think, okay, well, I'm going to focus on just going to class, getting the job done. But in order to do that effectively and to not have a bumpy experience, you need to make sure that you're ready, that you know where to get answers to your questions. The JSOM website is really terrific and it's pretty easy to navigate. And I encourage all of you to explore both the university and the Jindal School's website, because you'll save yourself a lot of time and frustration if you kind of know where things are. Just like when you're on Amazon or Uber Eats or those kinds of websites. We expect graduate students to know university policies and JSOM policies. So you can look under resources and look for advising, and you're going to see some particular policies that are specifically relevant to the Jindal School. For example, when you go to graduate, you must have a 3.0 in both your core classes and your overall GPA. So again, that's a critical policy that you don't want to get to the end and be at a 2.998, because that won't get you over the hurdle. Another place on our website that's really important for our students is the academic calendar. And I think this is probably where students trip up the most, is that they don't understand that they have to add classes in a certain window, drop classes in a certain window, add or drop classes in a certain window to gain certain kinds of refunds to tuition. And the university is, you know, very rigid about those policies. So always print out the academic calendar to know, you know, when's the last day of classes, you know, when do finals start, when is the last day I can drop a class, when is the last day I can add. The next thing is you want to, I'm having to look around my camera to look at my screen, but another big place where folks trip up a lot is around when you have to have completed all your coursework. So all of your coursework needs to be completed at 72 months. That's 6 years. For those of you out there, you may want to mute your microphones. You want to finish it in 72 months. That means if you transfer a class in, and that class was from 2 years ago, your 72 months starts from the earliest date of the first course that counts towards your degree. So please keep that in mind. Understand what's required by your degree plan. You're going to be getting to meet with your program directors after this session, and they're going to talk specifically about the courses that are required. So make sure you know prerequisites, all that kind of stuff. The graduate catalog is the most boring piece of reading that you can probably ever read, but it is good for you to look at the graduate catalog and kind of review the policies and procedures that are in there so that you have kind of an idea of what you might need in the future. And the most important thing is, before you start classes, you need to read every syllabus. You need to make sure you understand, is this grading scale going to be 90 and above as an A, or is this going to be a course where there's a grading curve and they're going to break it up by number of people on a grading curve where 90%, 80%, 70% doesn't mean what you think that it means. Make sure you understand what happens if you miss coursework, or if you miss an exam, or what the policies are for makeup. All of that is in your course syllabus, and that is your contract with your professor. So let's move on. So we really want you to own your own journey. Your experience is as good as you make it. So you're going to find that a lot of our classes are all going to have group projects. It's just the way that business school works everywhere. But don't expect your faculty member to necessarily manage your group team. That's part of the learning experience. Hold yourself and other people on your team accountable. Don't let them dump all the work on one person. Speak up. That's what being a leader in management is really all about. You also are a part of a just-in-time total quality management experience as well. So faculty welcome feedback. They welcome emails. I encourage you this summer in these virtual classes to go to virtual office hours. You are really missing something if you don't get to know your faculty one-on-one. So give them feedback in terms of what you think about their class. The other big mistake I think graduate students make is that they don't do a little bit of their own research before they start asking a lot of questions. And then they ask a lot of questions, generally the same questions, to a lot of people. So I would encourage all of you to do a little bit of research first, because you are graduate students, and see if you're able to answer that question before you ask 10 people the same question. That will save you a lot of frustration and a whole lot of other individuals' frustration as well. And also plan ahead. Think about the entirety of your program right now where you're beginning it, and think about where are you going to put these classes, or getting this prerequisite before this other class. Have a plan about what you're going to do, so it's not just this random thing, or you're basing what you're going to take on what the class schedule for registration is. You can sort of look at that, but it's always better if you have a plan. And I think most important is, don't satisfice your way. If you only give, if you're satisfied with a low level of input, you're going to regret the fact that you didn't put in more. Graduate school is not long. It goes by so much faster than undergraduate school. And I think that the biggest regret I'll hear a few students say is, I wish I had, I'd spent it all. I had gotten everything out of this graduate school opportunity. So don't satisfice it. Get everything that you're paying for, every part of the experience, and you're going to end it feeling really positive about it. So Norma, the other element that is your absolute most important connection, aside from your program directors that you're going to meet in just a little bit after this session is over, are the people that you see on this screen. These are the dynamic 8. They are the individuals that can help you with course registration. They can help you with degree plans. They can help explain rules if rules need a further explanation. These 8 people work very closely with your program directors with regard to making sure that you're getting into the right classes. These people are also very busy people. They serve, these 8 people serve about 4,000 students, and they do it masterfully. So there are a lot of things that you can do virtually. Just like we're going to have virtual classes, you can get virtual advising. But if you're going to get virtual advising, you need to use your UT Dallas email address. It is the only way that we know that we are dealing with the person that is enrolled in that class. So if you email jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu with a question, and you use your Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail or your work email, they won't give you a response to that. There are legislative laws around FERPA that require us to maintain privacy standards on every student. So the only way that we can really know it's you is if you send it from your UT Dallas email address. But this is a great team of people, and they are resourceful and helpful, and they go the extra mile for our students. So they, along with the program directors, are just enormous assets. Now, if you're in the MBA program, you're going to be dealing with the MBA advising portion of the MBA office. And Lisa Schatz, if you're going to the MBA session after that, will tell you about that side of the MBA advising. So we'll move on to the next slide. So what does the graduate academic advising operation do? And they want you to remember to do. Again, reviewing that academic catalog is important. Become familiar with e-learning. This is our hub where all virtual classes work out of this hub. So it is intuitive for some people it is not, but you need to use your time in the next few days to get comfortable with the e-learning system, where the faculty are putting discussion boards, where the faculty putting additional resource items, where is the syllabus, where is it, do you deposit your assignments? Excuse me. All of those things will be accessed through e-learning, and you want to make sure that you know how to navigate it. The other thing to remember, excuse me, about graduate advising is that they know a lot about course registration and courses, but they don't know a lot about financial aid or paying your bill or the IT help desk. So we will be sending you a copy of this deck and a copy of this recording after this session is over, so that you can come back and refer to this particular slide. So if you have problems with paying your tuition, or you have a financial aid question, or you want to get some 24/7 IT help with your virtual class, these are the email addresses that will help you. So we'll move on to the next slide. So we are required to remind students that, you know, the process of a graduate education is a very ethical journey. We want students to take the high road and not the sometimes easy low road, and we take that very seriously. I can tell you where students sometimes trip up with regard to choices. If you are working on a group project, and perhaps it's a group paper, and you guys decide to divide and conquer, and everybody does a certain portion of the paper or a certain portion of the presentation, and then you put it all together, and if one person in that group has plagiarized, everybody in that group is held accountable. So you as students can run your papers through Turnitin, so that you can kind of check to make sure that if you've paraphrased, you have cited properly. So please be aware that if a student or a group of students violates the honor code, then the faculty member will turn that over to the Office of Student Conduct, and will generally, students will take a hit in a grade, and you don't want to do that. Remember, when you are citing things, that goes for presentations as well, because you will do presentations, and this summer you will do them virtually, and it's pretty cool how that all works. So just make sure to give credit where credit is due, and really be mindful of the ethical path, and we'll all do great. So, you know, this is so easy to talk about this when we're sitting in Davidson Auditorium, and I make all of you get up and introduce yourselves to each other, and really tell you that that's a part of the culture of the Jindal School. You know, I always at this time refer to the phrase, don't be a drive-by student. You know, don't drive up your car in the parking lot, run in, plop yourself in class, get the class, and then run away and not engage with people. It's a little bit harder to engage in an online environment, but faculty will will likely have opportunities for classmates to introduce themselves at the beginning of the virtual classes, but make an effort, because you will be amazed by the diversity of our students, not only in terms of where they come from all around the world, but the diversity of their backgrounds, the industries that they represent. And you will enjoy that aspect, but you got to make the effort, and you can't just be a drive-by student. I think another place where students kind of get very overwhelmed, and you know what, it's completely understandable. You've got a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, a working spouse, and you both have busy jobs, and you're trying to get a master's degree in business analytics. That's a lot on anybody's plate. But to the extent that you can read email, and I can tell you that the graduate office, my office, when we send email, it comes from JSOM-grad programs. And I am very, very careful about putting in the subject line what that is about, so you can determine whether or not you should read it from the subject line. But what is more important are these e-learning messages that faculty will put in e-learning to students. Sometimes faculty will use the announcement function inside of e-learning, and sometimes they'll use the discussion board. You really need to be mindful of email that you get from the faculty, because they will expect every student to have read it. I think another thing that's really important, and I know a lot of you chose the Jindal School, because I mean, we're a tough school. If you're admitted into our school, then that means you're a very competitive student, because we have very high standards with regard to admission. But we have rankings because our students have supported our efforts to build a reputation externally, and our faculty do an amazing job of adding to what is a big component of rankings. As a student in the Jindal School, and a graduate student at that, you're going to find a time where you're being asked to participate in a ranking, and we're going to ask that that you help continue to build the incredible reputation that this school has in terms of our rankings in U.S. News, Financial Times, Forbes. Those give us incredible recognition, and we want you guys to be a part of creating that reputation going forward. I know this is probably going to be easier. I always talk to students about arriving to class on time as best they can when it's face-to-face class. I would encourage you to also arrive to virtual class on time. That might be easier than driving to the campus and parking your car. And when you do arrive, be ready to be engaged. There is nothing harder on a faculty member than to have a dead silent class. So they're going to push you, and you need to push yourself. And sometimes in a virtual environment, engaging and discussing is a little bit easier, because you don't quite feel so, I don't know, exposed to the world. But don't sit back and just let it happen. Be a part of the conversation. The only other thing I would tell you about virtual classes, because faculty will do it a lot of different ways. Some faculty will give you recorded lectures, and then you'll have an engagement that is synchronously, where everybody is kind of engaged in the same hour. Some faculty will give you a class at the time it was scheduled, and it'll be synchronous, but they might record it and you can watch it later asynchronously. You need to make sure that you understand how your class is going to be delivered this summer, so that you're ready. And then I think the last thing that I would say with regard to being engaged is that you're paying a lot of money to improve your credentials, to be ready to launch your career to the next level once you have this degree. You don't want to pay a lot of money for a less demanding part-time program. You may be a part-time student, but you're going to get the whole chalupa in every class that you take. So don't expect the class to be a part-time, watered down class. We're going to give you the whole shebang, and we're going to expect students to give back, a good presence, good engagement, and really good performance, because we're all about helping you advance your career, and we want to be a part of that success that you have, either during the program or once you graduate from the program. So let's move to the next slide. I always tell students to begin with the end in mind. None of you are here, at least it's highly unlikely that any of you are here because you just want to get smarter. You're smart already. You just need a whole bunch of new skills and tools that are going to help you advance your career. But let me tell you, you're here because you want to get a jump start on where you go next. And getting a graduate degree is a great way to do that. So I encourage all of you, take a little bit of time over Memorial Day weekend. Get out there and look at the job portals where they have all the job postings. Look for the job that you want next and look at that job description and ask yourself, what kind of classes can I take while I'm getting this degree that will make me qualified for that particular position? If you think about the job you want now and you organize your degree path and your electives to make sure that you're going to be ready for that opportunity when you're done or even halfway through, then you will have been very smart about this experience. You don't want to be random and haphazard about picking your journey or picking your track. Most of our graduate degree programs have tracks or concentrations. So you want to think about, which lane do I want to get in? And do I want to do that job that is in that lane? The other thing I would encourage you to do is we have a fabulous career management center. Fiona Hunter is on this presentation somewhere, and probably Neil Johnson and a number of other folks that you could engage with. She does a lot of virtual webinars out there that really help people understand developing that elevator pitch and building your network. I mean, we're all virtual anyway. Let's get busy building your virtual network while you are in this crazy COVID-19 time. Also, be very honest with yourself. Evaluate your skills. Are you a good writer? Are you a good speaker? Are you a good presenter? Are you a good spreadsheet, spreadsheet modeling person? Do you do root cause analysis well? Think about where your weaknesses are and use this program to help you improve on your weaknesses. And you got a multitude of people that can help you figure that out. I also would tell all of you that are thinking about launching your career in a different way to also be very mindful about managing your online presence. I think that's the thing that students are just so surprised by, that when you apply for a job, the first place they go is to LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So if you're thinking about using this degree to launch the next derivation of you, then think about managing your online profile as well. The people, that manage your programs, you will not find a more remarkable set of individuals. All of our degree program directors are amazing. Many of them have had actual work experience in the areas where you are hoping to grow your career. They have incredible insight. And if you miss the opportunity to meet that program director and have them get to know you, it happens where a program director will get a call from your dream company and they'll say, hey, do you know anybody that could fill this job? If your program director knows you, wow, that's a really great recommendation to get. So take time and go to office hours to meet with them, virtual or face-to-face once we're over this COVID-19 situation, and take advantage of this network that you're paying to advance. And then the other thing is update that resume as you go through the program. Don't wait to get to the end of it to do it. And I think the last thing I'll say is that some of you who are working part-time, who will use this program to get internships, if you accept a position with an internship employer, please do not back out of that internship commitment that you make to go with somebody else, because when you do that, employers get very upset at the Jindal School, and you want to make sure you don't break those commitments. So I know that many of you that are online, and we have 108 people online, and we're thrilled that all of you have joined us. We also want to remind you that we're pretty doggone social at the Jindal School. So at the bottom of this slide, you'll see all of our social mediums. If you go to our main page, you scroll down to the bottom, then you can get to that. Great information about events that are happening, employers that are coming to speak, a speaker series, alumni events where you can meet alumni. You really do want to be social on all of the networks and keep up with what's going on at the school. So, pay attention to that. And like I said before, you'll get a copy of this presentation. So If you can't write that down, we'll be able to send that out to you. Let's go to this. Another thing that you want to know about, and I hope you will all take a picture, and we'll give you a couple of seconds to take a picture of this particular screen. This is obviously a QR code to the MyJSON mobile app. The great thing about the mobile app is if you need to contact a faculty member, you can find their name, their title, their email, their phone number, all right there at your fingertips. If you don't know where you're going in the school, there are maps to the building that are in there. You can access the website. This is a really handy tool to have. So we hope all of you will grab a picture of that. The next slide gives you the ability to get a branded JSON business card. The printing office on campus does business cards. So if you decide that you want to leverage your degree midway through the degree or at the end of the degree, and you maybe don't want to use your current employer's business card, you can order a JSON branded business card. I think they're really affordable, something like $15 a box or $20 for a box full, and you can use those as you are out networking. So then I think the last thing I want to say before I give you an example of where you want to go next is Jindal Connect. Jindal Connect is the Jindal School's variation of LinkedIn. And we have, I don't know, 3,800, 4,000 alumni that are on Jindal Connect, probably even more than that at this moment, because we have literally 50,000 alums that are here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You can connect with people here. It's a great way to build your career, seek advice from people that have gone before you. And we hope that you'll join Jindal Connect so that you can pay it forward to the people that are behind you. So for all of our program directors who have joined us today, and Norma, I'm going to ask, are there questions that any of our students have put into the chat that we want to answer in this general session? Before,
it looks like we don't have any questions. I think they're saving them all for their program directors.
Well, terrific. And Norma, can you put up the next slide? And the program sessions are now going to start immediately. So you will want to leave this conversation and immediately go to that second link in the email that you got, and you'll be able to meet with your program director. I hope that you'll reach out to us if we can help in any way. Thank you so much for coming to be a part of this conversation. Can't wait to meet you, shake your hand, and see your smiling face at some point in the future. Please reach out if we can help you, and thank you for choosing the Jindal School for your graduate degree. We are very grateful. Be in touch, be safe, and be well.
Thank you.